The universities that mould the American elite seek out talented recruits from all backgrounds, and clever poor children who make it to the Ivy League may have their fees waived entirely.
Ivy League refers to a group of long-established colleges and universities in the United States, mostly that were founded before the American Revolution. And over the years, they've attracted very wealthy people and very knowledgeable people, and so they became respected as the top universities in the United States, even though some of them are, maybe not any better than other universities, except for being Ivy League. First in importance would be Harvard, Princeton, Yale. Those are the first three schools that people think of. There's also Dartmouth, Brown, Columbia, and UPenn. Those are the Ivy League colleges. And they've formed an athletic league, which they also call the Ivy League. So in this sense, they are largely cemented in place. There are other top schools such as Williams, Middlebury, Bucknell, which are probably just as good as the Ivy League schools. But they're not Ivy League because they aren't part of the original group. The name Ivy League comes from ivy, which is a plant which will tend to grow up the side of brick buildings, and it looks very old and established. And the ivy is not particularly good for the mortar. It'll tend to destroy the building eventually, but it certainly has a pretty good look to it. And that's where the name Ivy League comes from. So the Ivy League is a symbol of status, and a lot of people attempt to get into Ivy League schools or get into schools that they call Little Ivies, which presumably emulate the Ivy League schools, and also to try to have what you could call Ivy League attitudes, Ivy League tastes, to fit into the Ivy League, which is largely associated with what people call preppy, which is a certain type of lifestyle, attitude, so forth, that is highly associated with being successful.
The universities that mould the American elite seek out talented recruits from all backgrounds, and clever poor children who make it to the Ivy League may have their fees waived entirely.
So in this context, they are referring to poor kids who make it to the Ivy Leagues who have their fees waived entirely, so they get a free education. So Ivy League schools, they want to have the best students, so they're willing to give people scholarships if they don't have the money, because they want to preserve the high level of quality of their students. It used to be easier to get into Ivy League schools because things were more regionalized, so people that lived in the Northeast could get into Ivy League schools easier than people from, let's say, the South or the West, or easier than people from other countries. But nowadays the competition has gotten much more difficult because people from all over the world want to go to Ivy League schools. People from China, Russia, the Middle East, India, they all want to go to Ivy League schools. And so the level of competition has gotten to be quite severe, and it's harder and harder to get into these schools every year. And typically people that graduate from Ivy League schools, they are able to get good jobs and oftentimes build very good careers too, and live in the upper middle or upper classes and make a good living. ESL-fullsteamahead.com